Welcome to the Kelly Sullivan Walden Show, where we explore nighttime dreams, daytime desires, and the best ways to transform the tragic into magic. Because let's face it, we all dream, we all have our blessings, and we all have our challenges, myself included. And I don't want any of us to take any of those things lying down, if you know what I mean. I just wrote a book entitled A Crisis is a Terrible Thing to Waste. I'm excited to explore the topic with you, whether it relates to your waking or sleeping dreams, because we're dreaming all the time, people. So let's make it the best dream possible. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome. I'm so excited about this interview. Welcome, everybody. Today, I get to talk to one of my dear, dear friends who has made such a difference in my life. I could go on and on and on. I want to say there are those people. Have you ever been at a party or been at an event and you see someone from across the room and you're like, ooh, I need to know that person. I think there's something kismet here. Well, I felt that way when I saw Aurora Winter. It was years ago. We were both at Agape. Our books had just come out, her first book, my first book. And I kept running into her. And we finally just sat down together and just started to gab. And there's just so much synchronicity and so much friendship, so much support. This woman, Aurora Winter, I'm talking about you in the third person, even though you're right here in front of my face. But I just want people to know that Aurora has had so many incarnations of her career. Today, we're going to be talking about magic, mystery, and the multiverse. If that's not awesome, I don't know what is. It's her latest book. She's written so many books. But when I first met her, her first book, From Heartbreak to Happiness, had just come out. And I'll let her tell you a little bit about that. But she then went on to start the Grief Coach Academy, which is such a sacred offering. And there's been multiple incarnations of her career, and it doesn't stop. She's more diverse than Madonna. It's like, and
I
she's
keep
one of those.
reinventing myself.
Exactly, totally. And just like Madonna, she just needs one name, not a first and last name, even though she has a last name, but just Aurora. Done.
Done.
Everything
I
else
like
is
it.
just extra.
I
So
like it.
here's just a little bit about this amazing woman, and there's so much more I could say. Aurora Winter is a best-selling author, television producer, media coach, and successful not serial killer, but serial entrepreneur. But she kills it because she's so good. So kind of a serial killer, but in a spiritual way. I don't know. Might delete this part from the
I like it. I like
She's amazing. Aurora uses her filmmaking expertise and neuroscience background to help people communicate to get the results they need in their business, in communication on all levels. And she's been known as somebody who combines the best of Silicon Valley with the best of Hollywood, using expertise in film and her ability to tell memorable stories that build brands and books. Her recent book, actually, she's got two of them. She's got Magic, Mystery, and the Multiverse. And this is an app. This is, so we're going to talk about that. This is a book, but it's also an app. And then she's got another book that just came out called Turn Words into Wealth. Turn Words into Wealth. So these are very diverse, as is she. But I think the one thing that she always has in common, no matter what she's doing, is that there's a level of excellence, there's a level of inspiration, there's a level of, you can turn whatever crises you're dealing with, just don't waste those crises. You could turn the tragic into magic. And literally every time I'm with Aurora, I always feel like, oh my God, I'm playing too small. I need to go bigger, wider. Such a Leo. And I love it. Like Leo in the best sense of the word. Okay, so enough bio. Welcome to my show.
Oh, I'm so glad to be here with you, Kelly. You are one of the amazing goddesses on the planet. And I love and adore you and all the ways that you have contributed to me personally and all the ways that you contribute to the world. You are a soul sister, and I'm grateful that we're on the same team,
Oh my God.
metaphorically anyway. Yeah.
I love you so much. Okay, so let's talk about this book. I have so many questions for you about magic, mystery, and the multiverse, the marvelous multiverse app. It's a good thing I'm not eating peanut butter. I'd be like,
I like alliteration.
me
Yeah,
too. Me
I
too.
am
Okay, so how did this start? Tell us the story of how this
I
came
am
to be.
super stoked about Magic Mystery in the Multiverse. It's actually a trilogy,
Yeah.
and the first book comes out August 17th, 2023.
On
And
your
then
birthday.
and the second book's called The Secret Multiverse Academy. And the final one is The Deadly Asphyxiator, dum-dum-dum, or the final in the first trilogy anyway. So, and those two books will follow up as quickly as I can edit them. I've already written them. So how this came to be is when I was 9 years old, I read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis.
Hmm.
And I loved that book so much. And then I eagerly, read the rest of the series, and I was heartbroken when it ended. And in that, my little 9-year-old self just thought, an author like you are, Kelly, like I am, is a kind of a wizard. We're really
Totally.
wizards, like with just like black ink on white paper, we transport people into other places.
We create spells out of words.
Exactly. I just couldn't imagine anything more amazing to do with my life than to be a word wizard. So, as
Mm.
Kelly said, I've written a half dozen nonfiction books. I've written award-winning screenplays. And then when COVID hit, I'm like, you know what? Since you were 9 years old, you wanted to write a book like C.S. Lewis. If not now, when? And
Mm.
so I started writing the trilogy in fall of 2020, and it's coming out as you've read the advanced reader
I
copy,
have.
and I feel like there's a value for having young adult books that are clean and have
Mm.
actually got a hidden message hidden beneath the adventure and the
Yeah.
mystery.
Yeah.
There is, I believe, a valuable message about taking care of each other, taking care of our family, taking care of Mother Earth, and that's all like cloaked in a dramatic story that's fun. So
And talk about dramatic. It's dramatic. I mean, when you say clean, there's not a lot of F-bombs going off and that kind of
that
thing, but it's death defying. I mean, we open up at a hanging. Like, and I was thinking,
not boring.
a writing teacher of mine said, grab him by the throat at the beginning and don't let him go. And that's exactly what you did. Like she's being hung. And it's like, what's gonna happen? It's not just like, oh, let's have milk and cookies and talk about butterflies. Although there's sweetness that underlies this. It's also feminine like empowerment. I mean,
Yay.
yeah, Anna is so like she's beautiful, but she's also tough and badass. And her brother is very like he's also sensitive and he's got kind of a dark side. He thinks about death. Like he's kind of an emo, as they would say.
Yeah.
And there's just these characters. Okay, and you've already so the book hasn't even officially come out, and you've won 5,000 awards on this book.
Well, you're exaggerating with 5,000, but yeah, it won Reader's Choice Award, Best Book for Teens, Spring 2023. It's won a Literary Titan Award, a number of awards, which I can't even remember off the top of my head. So
So
it's
many.
already been very
They're all
well
back here.
received. And those awards were based on the advanced review copy, which I think the final version is even better.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I think well, Kirkus Reviews gave a lovely review, and they said that Anna and Zachary made a fantastic duo. Like they really are so different. She's from LA. She's an aspiring actress. She's very bold. She's always optimistic. She sees what could go right, and he's the opposite. He sees what could go wrong. He's emotional. He's recovering from cancer. So there's a lot going on between them. But meanwhile, they're having this adventure in the multiverse.
So this book is it's for kids, but I think in the same way that Harry Potter and The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is also for adults, like this is fun for the whole family.
Yeah.
So I think parents will probably buy it for their kids, but then they'll be like, "Hey, that's my copy. This is for me." Because I
Yeah,
mean, I
it's
was thoroughly entertained. I was bummed when it ended, and I was like, "Oh, but there's more. Yay." And at the end, I was like, "Oh, it's all like everything's getting tidied up." And then all of a sudden, kablam. I'm like, "Wait, you can't end it here." Oh, wait, it's so I was so conflicted. I was like, "Oh, I wanted a nice bow to tie up the whole thing right then." And I'm gonna have to get the next one and the
you're gonna
next and
have
the
to get the
next.
next one. Well, I wrote it more like a TV series. So you
Yeah.
know how an episode of TV starts with a something that hooks you and then
Yeah.
ends with a hook into the next. So you have to
Mm,
watch the next episode.
mm.
So I see it as a TV series,
It
but in
tidies up enough details, but not all. But like
yeah,
all of the main ones, and then there's this
and
opening
then
for this
there's
other
more.
thing that we have to see. And you've got a background in television, so that
That's right.
weaves in.
That's right. And I'm using all of my, well, as many of my talents as I possibly can. Right now I'm in the middle of the book launch, so that's using my marketing background. You know what book launches are like. There's so many
Right.
moving pieces, but I've really been happy how well received Magic Mystery and the Multiverse is. And the other two books are already live on Amazon, so people can get all three.
Oh,
They can't
but you
read
can't
they
actually
can't
get
read
them.
book 2 and 3 yet, but they can pre-order.
Right.
Yeah,
But you can pre-order them so you at least know that they're coming. So very different mind, like a different part of the brain to write Magic Mystery in the Multiverse and to write Turn Words into Wealth, but they overlap for sure. But how did you switch back and forth? It was one truncated and then how did you do that?
well, I did write a lot of screenplays in an earlier incarnation of my life back in the day.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it was a whole different skill set to lean into writing fiction instead of nonfiction.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun, but I had to like brush up those fiction muscles. And I've been reading so much great fantasy, so I really have enjoyed that. But each of these books really started with me being motivated by something that annoyed me. So
Oh, that's
I love
great.
Harry Potter, love,
Okay.
love J.K. Rowling, and yet it annoyed me that Harry Potter was a boy.
Hmm.
What if Harry Potter was a girl, right? Why can't we have a strong, fun fantasy story where the hero was a girl? So there we
Yeah.
go. Magic Mystery in the Multiverse is kind of my answer to that, which I think is, is fun. And it's not middle grade, it's young adults. So people who like reading Brandon Sanderson or like,
Mm.
Lee Bardargo, who I always stumble over her name. Here's one of her books with the
Hmm.
Grisha verse.
Oh,
I
wow.
really like it.
Hmm. So
So
even like Twilight and what were those other ones? Divergent?
uh,
Um,
Wheel of Time.
mhm.
Um, yeah, it's not dystopian, so it's not that dark, but there is a lot happening and people's lives are at stake, but it's
There's
not.
some dystopia going on. There's a lot. There's some evil
She
going
almost
on.
get hanged at the beginning. That is true.
Yeah, and then there's more. Oh my God. It's like there, I mean, I remember I was at a book expo a while back and I just tiptoed in. It was a panel of children's book authors. And I was like, I have a few minutes to kill. I'll just see what's going on. And I was so shocked. They were all talking about how like children's books aren't like, I guess not, this isn't children's books, but like for young adults and then if young people, you'd think that it would be a lot softer, but it has to be about cataclysmic world, like the world is ending. Like kids actually, it wakes them up. They get the I'm saying kid, but I mean like the young person aspect. Because like you said, this isn't a children's book. Although I think kids would relate to it. But like you kind of have to deal with life and death issues on a grand scale. Like the globe will perish if we don't save do the X by the that final minute. And I thought, oh my God, when I was young, when I would play games with my sisters and my cousins, it was always about some evil witch that was going to
Yeah.
destroy the world. It was always about like, we're going to die if we don't do this thing. And so there's something kind of strangely adaptive about even thinking about those things. What do you, even though it's
Well,
not the
like
way I
the,
like to
the
normally
most
think?
the most gruesome stories we probably all know are Grimm's fairy tales, and they are grim, right? They are
Yes.
really grim, and then they chopped off her head.
Right,
Right?
right.
So, well, I don't like anything that's boring. So, I like a lot of action, but I would like to offer a potential discernment on what works best, in my opinion, in
Yeah.
literature. I think when we always have, oh, the world is going to be destroyed, pretty soon we get into cartoony Superman
Hmm. Yeah.
stuff, and it can actually lose the impact. Whereas what I like to layer in the impact. So while actually one of the worlds that they travel to is in jeopardy, there's
Yes.
this more personal jeopardy of, is her brother going to survive? There's this more personal
Yes.
jeopardy. Is
Exactly.
she going to,
Can
be
she
so
save him?
optimistic that, or is she going to be bold, adventurous, courageous, and save the day? And the people that she meets on the way, are they her friends, are they her enemies? And I do my best to make each character, especially the bad guys, have really clear motivations. Everybody's the hero in their own story.
Oh, oh, it's so
Otherwise
true.
they're cardboard characters, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like every one of your characters is multidimensional and you kind of love them and you're like annoyed by them and angry at them. And it's hard. I want to talk about the story. So I think I'm going to have to interview you after it comes out so I don't have to be so worried about spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, because I don't want to spoil much.
I want to hear what you have to say, though.
Oh my God. Well, oh, I don't know. I'm on the spot. But it just feels like there were so many places in here where it was like I just felt so whipped up in the magic and like the dog. Oh my God, I felt so in love with the dog with his little peg leg that's a different color. It's so
So great.
and even it's so funny. I find myself like I really love the Igor character and its lisp and its speech impediment. It's just there's just oh my God. And then there's the evil ones, the cruel queen. I just and there's a bit of like the Back to the Future mobile, like this crazy car that takes you okay, but one thing, this is what I think is important, and this is one thing I find about everything you do. There's the like you grab people's attention, and once you've got their attention, there's these jewels that you deliver. Like you said before, like there's deep values, there's neuroscience that we're learning along the way. Can you talk about some of those? Like you've had to create this elaborate container in order to deliver via
Oh,
story
sneaky spiritual messages just hidden in
sneaky
there.
spiritual messages that you could just say, here's the message, take it, but it wouldn't land in the
It
same
wouldn't
way.
land. It wouldn't
Right. So
land.
can
Same.
you just speak a little bit about what do you think is one of the most important messages that people might get from this and they might not know?
They might not get this from reading just the first book, but they'll certainly get it from reading the trilogy. One
Okay.
of the things that drove me to write this book, besides C.S. Lewis and wanting to play homage to I and the
Yes.
Witch in the Wardrobe, is a concern for Mother Earth. And I
Hmm.
thought, oh, how could I, in a fantasy story, drive home in a dramatic and fun way that something that we all take for granted is super important? And
Mm. Mm.
I've been asthmatic as a child. I almost died multiple times from not being able to breathe.
I
And
didn't
so I
know
thought,
that.
yeah. And so that is like hardwired in my body. And so I thought, we take the air for granted. But if we didn't have air, we would only survive 3 minutes. If we didn't have water, we could last longer. We didn't have food, we can last longer. And, you and I have both lived in the Los Angeles area when there's wildfires and there's ash falling, like the air really matters. And so that is very subtly woven into this book. Anna, our hero, also has asthma. So she's very aware of breathing. and the evil witch has nefarious plans that have to do with stealing oxygen or
Oh
mind.
my God, there's the oxygen police. Like you owe the fine for breathing. Ah, there you go. Another
Breathing
fine.
right now. That was funny. I hope you found that funny, but scary at the same time.
Funny and scary at the same
Yeah.
time.
I'm
It's funny.
shooting for like Doctor Who meets Harry
Yeah,
Potter. So like Doctor Who can be a bit scary, right? You know it's going to be okay because Doctor Who is, but it can
right.
be a bit scary.
Totally. Totally. It's so funny. I with that on my mind, I was at a really pretty restaurant last night and I was thinking they should charge a visual tax for walking in. Like if you don't want to pay that tax, you have to wear blinders as you walk through the restaurant so that you're
Sounds
not
very pretty.
absorbing the beauty. But if you're going to have your eyes open and see it, then we're charging you an extra $50 just to come in here and behold the beauty. But I was thinking about these things that are so natural with our five senses. We
Yeah.
like we if we were taxed on those things,
Yeah.
how much more we might appreciate them and covet them and not take them for granted. And not that I ever want any of these things, especially breath. Breath isn't one of our five senses, but it's one of those things that we take for granted
And the
because
breath is so much, right? It's our ability to speak the truth. It's our self-expression. It's also in spirit, like it's air,
inspiration. Yeah.
inspiration is respiration, inspiration, like it's all got the same root. So
Until we have an expiration, which
until
are
we have an expiration. That's a good one. Exactly right. But I love that scene where she's like, the air tax keeps going up. They're like, stop breathing, pay the tax or stop breathing. She's like, I can't pay the tax and I can't stop breathing.
Oh my
Excuse
God.
me anyway.
That I recorded my first audiobook. I know you have at least one audiobook. You're
Yeah.
from Heartbreak to Happiness. And I've just finished doing mine, and my audiobook for A Crisis is a Terrible Thing to Waste is out. And Dana, my husband, recorded it, and he kept saying to me, "Would you stop breathing? Stop it." I'm like, Dana, I
I,
can't, because he's like he has to edit out all my
yeah. All right. All those luxurious
he's like,
sighs.
look at my screen, look at all these edits. I'm like, and the alternative is what?
Here would be recording for very short. But to answer your question about why I wrote this book,
Yeah, let's talk about
Turn Words
what
into Wealth,
inspired this one, Turn Words into
completely the
Wealth.
other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, let's
So
go there.
nonfiction book that shows people 7 different ways to make 7 figures with their book and their message.
Whoa.
The thing that got me frustrated is I help people write books, and I encourage everybody to write a book. I think almost everybody's got something to put in book form, but so many people have no clue how to market a book or monetize a book. And really, that needs to be baked in. It's like bread.
Mm.
You need to add the yeast while you're baking before you bake the bread, or else it's going to be flat. And the little bit of yeast that you need to add into your book is, well, what is your back end? What do you want people to do? How else can you serve people? Like I know you've got a lot of things going with multiple streams of income, but also multiple ways to be of service. I mean, you're a speaker, you're a workshop host, you're a podcast leader, you train people how to coach people through dreams. Like you do all kinds of things, but that doesn't come automatically for most people to consider what is their back end when they write a book, as you have done about dreaming.
Mm.
And
Mm.
interpreting dreams and leveraging dreams and living your dream and all those things. And we still want more dream books from you.
Thank
so
you, because I've
I,
got more up my sleeves. Right.
so I wrote Turn Words into Wealth to help people who are thinking about writing a book or who have written a book to think about, well, how can you maximize the value of this intellectual property? Can you create multiple streams of income? And the highest paid profession is actually speaking. I mean, Hillary
Mhm.
Clinton gets paid $250,000 per talk, but
Wow. Oh my
Brandon
God.
Anderson, for instance, recently did a Kickstarter that generated $40 million.
Who?
Brandon Sanderson, he's a fantasy sci-fi
Oh,
author,
okay.
Mistborn and stuff like that, $40 million. His Kickstarter before that, I think, generated around $10 million. And that was simply because he reserved the rights. His books were published by Tor, which is a big publishing company, but he
Mhm.
reserved the rights to do a special edition leather-bound book. So he made another $10 million on an already published book that was 10 years old, approximately, just because he
Whoa.
reserved that right. So I want to
Whoa.
invite people to read Turn Words into Wealth so that they can think about, well, maybe even if I go with a big publisher, I will retain some rights. I mean, J.K. Rowling famously retained the electronic rights to Harry Potter, and that makes her about $40 million a year.
Oh my
So
God.
retaining ebook and audio book rights made a huge difference. And, there's like Harry Potter and Universal Studios. So
Yeah.
it's good to think about these things before you put yourself in a corner. I'm a big proponent for independent publishing. Independently published books actually now generate more revenue per annum than the books published by the big five publishers. I like marketing. So I think you are going to have to market your book, whether you're with the publisher or whether you independently publish. And myself personally, I'd rather keep 70% of the revenue, giving 30%, say, to Amazon, and then
Mhm.
have that 70% of the revenue to spend on ads or to have profit,
Mhm.
then
Mhm.
have, say, 7% of the revenue with the publisher taking the lion's share. Unless you're a famous author like Kelly Sullivan Walden, you're going to have to do the marketing anyway, but the publisher is going to keep the lion's share of the revenue. So Turn Words
Yeah.
into Wealth shows how myself, my clients, but also super famous people like David Goggins or Brandon Sanderson or Hillary Clinton monetize their books.
Ooh, this is so interesting because it's I this helps me kind of bridge the schisms in my brain because I think, and probably a lot of people listening are, they'll think of themselves as heart-centered
Mm,
people, and like the vision comes first, and the vision and the joy of the creative process, it feels like it's outside of the realm of even thinking about dollar signs, although I know that if we don't think about them, then that becomes a shadow. And
mm,
anything that is put into the shadow, if it's the last thing we think about, then it tends to bite us in
yeah,
the butt.
yeah.
And so, I mean, in the dream realm and the dream work that I do, it's all about embracing the shadow. So if you're somebody who the wealth building side isn't your shadow, that might be your already your superpower, and you might need to bring in more of the creativity, more of the imagination to become more well-rounded. Or if you're somebody that's a little bit more vision oriented and heart-centered, it's good to think a little bit about the financial part, as long as it doesn't keep you from creating the thing itself. I know some people that get so excited about the marketing of it, but they never get to the writing of the book
I
because they're
know.
like, "Oh, it's going to be a series, and then it's going to be turned into a movie, and then it's all this." It's like, but you got to write the thing.
You
So
gotta write the
we,
book.
I think, know thyself. We have to know what our strengths are and what our weaknesses are and how to bridge both of these. So I think
You can write
this
the book first and then add in the marketing layer, but I would suggest that you add at least a little bit before the book is published. It's just like adding a little bit of sugar. Everything will go better, but you could sprinkle the sugar on top, although ideally you would bake it in, like more like
bake it in.
yeast. Like
So,
yeast is into bread dough. So if you, for example, Turn Words into Wealth is a good example of how to do that. So as I'm explaining, my commitment with that book is to show people how to create multiple streams of income with their message, whether it's a book or speaking or whatever they're up to. And so as I, in integrity, am showing you how to do that, I tell you how I helped my clients do that.
mhm.
And I give examples of, here's a client, their business is 1.5 million. I helped them write their book. Now their business is over 6 million. That's valuable information. It's true, but
Right.
subtly it's also like, oh, Aurora is somebody who helps people write, publish, and promote books that will build my business. Oh, I
Maybe I want to hire her.
maybe
Right.
I want to work with Aurora, right? So that's an
Right.
example of baking it into the message. Now you can add it later as sprinkling of sugar on top. That's also acceptable.
Hmm. Right. Why
But
not? Okay.
there's with a book, the fantasy book, like I've also helped clients with fiction books. So I have a lawyer who wrote a book called Confessions of an Accidental Lawyer. We
Oh, I love
published
that.
it in the fall of last year, November 2022. It came out. It's got over 1 million page reads now. So
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
and the book is doing fantastic. It's his first book. He has no list. I've done all the marketing because he's busy being a lawyer. So this
Uh-huh.
would be an example of we didn't bake the marketing into the content of the book,
Mm.
but we launched the book in a way that would um, be successful.
Well, because he's a lawyer and people might go, wow, he's such a cool lawyer, and getting to know him through his story, they might want to just hire him based
They might
on.
want to do that too. Although the book, we're working on 9 legal thrillers. So he really liked the process, and so did I. It was a lot of fun. But where we baked it in was a little bit. This was more the sugar sprinkled on top. In the front of the book, it says, I hope you liked this book, and if you did, and you'd like to encourage him to write more legal thrillers for your reading pleasure, it would be fantastic if you left a review online. That's all.
Right. Yeah.
But it is a
It's baked
request,
in. It's baked
and
in.
and now the book has got over 1,000 reviews.
Right. So there's like, for example, here's one thing that wasn't even like it's not even really baked, it's more sugar on top. But I know that in my first Oracle deck, it
Mm.
had at the very back of it Dream Life Coach training, which is now Dream Work Practitioner training, but it had a little ad
Yeah.
for that, and I got a number of clients that became Dream Work practitioners or Dream Life coaches because of something that was like in an existing product that would
And
go
that doesn't
out.
have to be slimy. It's a way to provide more service, to be a greater contribution to people who liked what they read or liked the cards and enjoyed them, and then they want more. So
Right.
it, it can be totally alignment with living your life mission, making a bigger difference, being a bigger contribution.
So this is you brought up such a great word, the slimy word, because I think sometimes marketing
Yeah.
can kind of feel that way. So what would you say is kind of service oriented or generous, like the what is the good version of marketing versus the slimy version? Can you like give me a couple of examples of like what's the like you just
Yeah.
said, I mean kind of
I think it's really about intention,
yeah.
right? So probably 2 people could say exactly the same sentence and it would
Yep.
land differently because the
Yeah.
intention is different.
Yes.
So just have the intention to be of service and don't worry too much about exactly what words you have to say. Don't try to, well, this is something I think you would relate to.
Hmm.
In the speaker, author, workshop, leader, trainer industry, there's often like fear-based selling, you know,
Rah.
and I'm like, yes,
Don't do that.
don't do that. It can be helpful to give people a reason to decide now. So for example, my new book, Magic Mystery and the Multiverse, is coming out August the 17th.
Mhm.
And in that window of launch, I've made the next 2 books 99 cents.
Ooh.
So
It's
people can grab it, or they're also on Kindle Unlimited. So if they have Kindle Unlimited, they can get book 2 and book 3 for free. And
wow.
it's honest that that's not going to be 99 cents forever. It's just going to be during this launch period. So
Right.
grab it. So that I'm doing that to be of service because you cannot make money selling books at 99 cents. You'll go bankrupt. So
Right.
that honestly coming from, hey, I want you to read all 3 books.
Mhm.
You may have really loved book 1 and then you're like, where's book 2 and book 3? Well, you can grab them right away for 99 cents each. Or if you wait, then they'll be 4.99 or 9.99 or whatever they are. So that is got a deadline, but it's not coming from a manipulating or trapping the other person place. And, at least
Mm.
that's where my heart is. And hopefully that's how it lands when I say it, right?
Right. It feels like the difference is, at least from my perspective, because I've had to deal with this for years now, from the time that my first book came out, even before that. And I remember like, I hate marketing. I don't want to do it. Yuck. Ugh, ugh. But when I really got it into my head that it's, if I'm thinking about marketing as what am I getting, then I feel like a slime ball. I feel like a used whatever salesperson that's just slimy. But if
Yeah,
I think, okay, we all have gifts to give. And if I, and there's that saying about that in the Bible, don't hide your gifts under a bushel. So
exactly.
how can I just make whatever gifts I have more available so that they may serve? So that they may
Exactly.
make people's lives better. Ooh, that's a totally different feeling.
Well,
That's
you
very
have
different
this
energy.
thing that's always stuck with me. You have this thing around forgiveness.
Oh, yes, forgive or
That.
forget. Yes. Oh, oh my God, I forgot about that.
I love that.
Yes,
You
to
say
be
the
f-
coolest things.
that's very sweet. To be forgiving
Yeah.
and not forgetting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
that. I get chills just you saying it again. It's like, yeah, forgiving has got the word give in it. And I think I just want
Mhm.
to yellow highlight what you just said, because I think a lot of people who have a negative energy around marketing are
Yeah.
hiding their light under a bushel.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I believe it's our responsibility to shine our light as brightly as we can. We only have this brief window of time. Let's make the most of it. Make as big of a difference as you can, and be as big of a blessing as you can be. You're not serving anybody by hiding your light and playing small. Like, look at Oprah. She's a great example. She changed so many people's lives. Or
It
look at
still
you, like
does. Yeah.
nobody's paying to watch this Facebook recording. You're
Right.
making a contribution. But Kelly's a good example. So in Turn Words into Wealth, it gives a bunch of examples, but one way would be to just think about, okay, what can I do that adds value to the world, that's content-based marketing, that can be a gift to others? That's what I'm going to give away for free. One to many is for
Mhm.
free or almost free. I would say a book is almost free, right? You can get an ebook for under $20 or a print book for under $20. It's almost
Right.
free. It's one to many being of service. But then what are the things that I have boundaries around doing for free, because I only have so many hours in the day? So
Mm.
one-on-one coaching, one-on-one consulting, people saying, can I buy you lunch and pick your brain? No, no, I don't want my brain picked for free. You know, so,
Right. There's a
when
price for that brain picking.
it's probably taken, 20 years to learn those things. So when we just step back and maybe take a day and go, okay, these are the things I'm doing of service. These are totally for free, or these basically are for free because this covers the cost of printing a book or whatever. But these other things are, I'm going to honor
Mhm.
decades of learning whatever I've learned, and I'm going to charge for coaching, consulting, training, speaking, whatever. Just make a plan, and then you won't feel conflicted.
Oh, exactly. I had somebody reach out to me recently and sent an email. How do I interpret my dreams? I'm like, here's some books that I spent years writing, and I've
Exactly.
condensed them into a nice bite-sized form. So, how about that?
Exactly.
What else do you want from me? I mean, it's
People can read your books. Like, books are the best value. Somebody, like, you and I each spend years writing each of our books.
and those years that we spend writing them is just a part of it. We've spent years living it and fine-tuning it and revising, and then until we finally get to the actual writing and then the editing and then it
Yeah.
becoming
So
form.
don't ask somebody like Kelly to interpret your dreams if you haven't done this, the
Unless
courtesy
I'm
of
doing
reading
on
all
my
our
show,
books.
sometimes I do like, okay, let's do some banter. So if you want to call in, you're welcome to, because sometimes I do have a live Q&A and that's a blast. But otherwise,
Honestly, books, I love books. Books are the greatest way
yeah.
to continue learning and to continue growing and to make a bigger difference. Like, a friend of mine said that she had read one book in 3 years, and I'm like, I showed her my journal. I've read 27 books in the last 3 months. And I probably forgot to write some of them down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, be a lifelong learner.
Hmm. Yeah.
I mean, you don't even have to pay for books. You can borrow them from the library,
Right.
but
Oh my
there's such
goodness.
a
But
wealth
these are
of
some books
knowledge.
that people are going to want to buy because there's years and years, and I would even say lifetimes worth of intelligence and craft and genius that are in these books. So if people are just listening, you got to look at Magic, Mystery, and the Multiverse. This is book one of three by Aurora Winter. And then Turn Words into Wealth. This is more of the other side. We'll say this is the yang, this is the yin.
Yeah.
This is more of the feeling, the magic mystery, and the multiverse is more of the maybe the heart, soul, spirit, wild. And then this is the turn words into wealth is more of the get it done. This is why you do it. This is the marketing. This is the part that will, I mean, my God, if there's the option of having some money from your creativity, from your intellectual property, I don't think that's a bad thing for
I don't
anybody.
think that's a
I
bad
mean,
thing.
my God, what a gift. There's nothing like that, like giving birth to something that didn't exist before, having it have a value. And then, I mean, Barbara Marx Hubbard, she said vocational arousal is when
Ah.
you are doing something that you truly have passion for, that you are uniquely talented in, that meets people's needs for value and could make the world a better place, and you get paid.
That's a sweet spot.
Vocational arousal.
That's a funny turn of phrase, but I like it. Barbara Marx Hubbard.
Isn't
Yeah.
it great? I'm having vocational arousal on your behalf because you've just given birth to talk about not wasting a COVID, not wasting a crisis. Like you turned that time into like you just use that to roll up your
And
sleeves and create some
I
new
love it.
products.
I write every morning. It's a great way to go.
Oh, and I just love her purple eyes. She's
I
got
know. I
purple
love it.
lavender
I love her.
eyes like Elizabeth Taylor.
Like Elizabeth Taylor, exactly.
Okay, any last words from you, Aurora Winter? Her website, by the way, is aurorawinter.com. That's Aurora, like Aurora Borealis. Not easy to say fast. Aurora Borealis.
That's a
AuroraWinter.com. But any last words of wisdom?
You are amazing. I love how you've contributed to my life and to the lives of all the listeners and watchers. You're just a goddess on earth. And if you haven't already read all of Kelly Sullivan Walden's books, go online and grab them right now from Amazon because they're very good. And the cards are amazing. I love your cards too. So thank you for having me again as a guest.
Thank you so much, honey. You are amazing. I love you. Thank you for always being just a rock star in my world. You always up level whatever it is I'm doing. So we just need to see each other more often. Happy early birthday book launch, August 17th. Everybody go out and get your copy, and then you'll get all three for like 99 cents each during that launch period. So rock on. Aurora, thank you so much. You're a dream come true.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you, honey.
Thank you for listening to the Kelly Sullivan Walden Show. If you enjoyed this episode, take a moment to like, subscribe, comment, and share it with your friends. My show can be found on Apple iTunes, YouTube, Google Play, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to order my new book, A Crisis is a Terrible Thing to Waste, go to your favorite online or brick and mortar retailer. Then head on over to kellysullivanwalden.com, tragic to magic. Input your order number and redeem your bonus gifts. I'm also excited to be offering a DreamWork practitioner training. So if that calls to you, go to kellysullivanwalden.com/DreamWork. If you'd like to join me for the live recording of these shows, most Wednesdays at noon Pacific, you can find me on Facebook. If you have a question about your dreams or about how to transform your tragic into magic, email me at kelly@kellysullivanwalden.com. Until next time, remember, a crisis is a terrible thing to waste. And as you awaken to the power of your dreams, you make the world a lighter, brighter, more beautiful place, one dream at a time. Sweet dreams.